Hello, friends. Hope you all are doing great. Today, we have a really special guest with us, a renowned columnist, a precocious talent who started his writing career at the age of 13. In the last 20 years, he has written articles for the Indian Express, Hindustan Times, EPW, The Wire, The Outlook, Newsclick. While he started his writing career on books and education, most of his recent works pertain to book and cinema. He is currently the chief writer at the Lonestar Films, which is an American film company. He also writes screenplays. So let's hear more from him. Dear Ali Kirmani Sahab, welcome. I thank you a lot for taking some time out of your busy schedule for this interview. I and most of the viewers of this channel started writing professionally in our 20s. Personally speaking, I started around 23, 24, and you started like 10 years before us. So, and you're an inspiration for young people who are determined to pursue writing as their career, as a career. So, this interview is extremely useful for them. So, please take us through your early days and what sparked your love and passion for writing, please.
Thank you, Saurav. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. So basically, I have been writing since 2003, and my mainstream bylines started in 2006. And at that time, I was motivated by many factors. Most importantly, I was motivated by the reactions people had when they saw my byline. So my friends and teachers at La Martiniere, they were delighted to see my pieces. And my father, who comes from a literature background, also encouraged me and made me realize the value of being a writer. And my sister also used to get published, and I was a little bit envious. So I also started writing. And I remember that there was a newspaper stand next to a railway crossing on my way to school. And I used to stop there to check out whether my article has come out in that day's newspaper or not. And I was also motivated by the fact that we had a computer at home and I could type my articles and hence save myself from my atrocious handwriting. So computer proficiency also played a role in my motivation to become a writer. And in my family, my father encouraged my sister and me to read and all. Reading was given preference over watching TV. And both my parents are PhD in Persian literature. So these things came together to give me a head start in a way.
That's great. So, your basically your family played a crucial role in shaping you as a writer. So,
Very much.
my next question is also in that line. So, behind every successful writer, there is someone who inspire and motivate them to achieve mastery in their craft. So, if I may ask, who is that person in your life?
In my case, that person has been my father all along. He encouraged me to write at a very young age, and he kept reminding me that I should be writing when I had stopped writing. So he was always there, and he was the person who made me realize the worth of being a writer, or the worth of what it is to be somebody who gets published, and how important it is to get published, how important it is to develop your own voice and style. So these things came from my father.
Wow. And you know what? You may not be knowing this, but I started following you on Twitter about like say 2 years back. And since then,
Okay.
I've come across many of your writings. So what I'll do is now is I'll share the screen and I'll take the viewers of this channel through your writing. So first
Great.
is how I came to know you from Twitter, of course. So here is Ali Kirmani Saab's Twitter profile, Twitter handle. And next we'll go to some of his best works. So this is the
Okay.
Linktree profile of his, which I'll be attaching in the description. And my most favorite one, 20 years of the Kite Runner, rereading the toxicity of this India bestseller. So my God, what an article. And it has
Thank
been
you so
published.
much.
It is published 21st of Jan 2023. And as I read it, I mean, I read it to be very honest very recently. And my God, what feeling I got from this? It's very personal, don't you? I mean, won't you agree?
It is, you are right when you say that it is very personal, because when I wrote this article, there was a hint of an autobiographical touch to this article, because when I read this book for the first time, I was the same age as the protagonist of the book. So I connected with the book. And also, when I was very young, when I was around 6 years old, and I used to live in Kashmir, I had a friend whose name was Atik, and Atik was my first friend of my life, and he was a Hazara. So many years later, when I read this book, and still later when I reflected upon it, I realized that my best friend was a Hazara. So these things, they came together to make me realize that an article should be written on this book. Also, I realized how narratives are manipulated by powerful people, and this book is an example of such a manipulation. Because in his 1978 book called Orientalism, Edward Said had argued that the West has often depicted the East as exotic, mysterious, and inferior, and these representations, they have been used to justify military intervention and invasions of these regions. So all of a sudden, writing an article on this topic became very important for me. This was the seed of this article.
Uh, I agree. Would you like to take us through the style and because personally speaking, I what I liked about the article the most is um, the way you have like you there is a prism, there is a perspective that a unique
Yes.
perspective that you infused in the article. So please do tell us a little more about that, your style, and
Yes, basically the uniqueness that you are talking about, it came from the fact that right in the beginning of the article, I described how I got to lay my hands on this book. And since I described how I personally started my journey with this book, the rest of the article also became a journey. And the style and the voice was that of my childhood, because I had started the article with the description of my childhood. So this is how the style and the voice of this article has been generated. And it will happen with anybody. If you start an article or a piece with your own autobiographical account, then it is going to retain that account throughout its DNA.
that's right. So moving on to your next article, my next favorite, it is revisiting Rajmohan Gandhi's mini masterpiece. Actually, I am torn between Hazaro Khwaise AC, the article that
Okay.
will be discussing next, but this is also
Yes.
my new favorite written by you. So please do tell
Okay.
a little bit about this and especially the style and the the process of your writing. So we would like to,
uh,
yeah, please.
Basically, Understanding the Muslim Mind by Rajmohan Gandhi is a book which is very important, as it allows the reader to reassess the historical standpoint of the current political sport being played in India around religion. So Rajmohan Gandhi is a legend, and his mini masterpiece, this book is his mini masterpiece that every Indian should read. And this is what I had in mind before I wrote this article. I wanted this book to become accessible to everybody. I wanted more and more people to read this book because it is important now more than ever. This is why I wrote this article. And as for the style and the tonality of the article, it is influenced by the book itself. I have used the same tonality that Rajmohan Gandhi used to describe his characters. This is how the this article has been put together.
Yeah. So as I told, moving on to the next 20 years of Hazaro Khwaise AC. And what
Yes,
makes this article special that if I can highlight this thing, so from the very beginning, the article manages to hook the readers, and there is this flow. So please do enlighten us about this article, and please do feel free to speak about the process and the research that went by. I'm sure that many Indians, many of us have watched Hazaro Khwaise AC. If
yes,
not now, many years back. But now this movie completed its 20 years. So please do tell
yes,
the research that went into it and maybe some new perspective you gained along the way in these 20
yes.
years.
Basically, Hazaro Khaishe Aisi is one of the best political films made in India. And when you approach a film like this, there are two things in the world. One is a fact, and another is the perspective. So this article, the research of this article is not based on facts. Facts were very easily available when it came to this film. This article is about extrapolating a perspective, because the film refers to a time in that the current generation have forgotten about. The film is based in my alma mater, which is St. Stephen's College, and I wanted people to revisit this movie, which is available free of cost on YouTube. Also, it's a movie from the director Sudhir Mishra, who is known to make his films as his karma, and after making them, he does not promote them. So it is our duty to witness this cultural heritage of our country in the form of cinema. And this is why I wrote this article. And the process behind its research was very basic. As I told you, the research was easily available. What was important was the perspective. So it's a totally perspective based article.
My next question is, I'm more curious to know that out of all your articles, which one entailed thorough research and fact checking? What would you like to say about that?
I think fact checking is very important now, uh, because in today's time, misinformation has become very sophisticated, and the inquiries and research that you make for a piece should be based on common sense. And when you're not sure of a fact, then you should totally avoid indulging in it. The amount of fake news and its level of sophistication both are at a very high intensity right now. And some months ago, while I was doing research on the Kathua rape case, I came across a video of the victim reciting a beautiful poem. And few weeks later, I realized that the girl reciting the poem is not the victim at all. So one has to be very careful, as even qualified journalists and professors, etc., are peddling fake news these days. And the article which was most demanding in terms of research and fact checking was the article on the kite runner, plus the article on Rohit Vemela. These two articles required a lot of fact checking, because there are many versions of truth out there when it comes to these two articles.
To be very honest, I must confess that I was intrigued by Rohit Vemula and Sushant Singh Rajput's article, but I could not
Yes,
read much about that.
yes, that is how EPW functions. They don't make their articles fully available at once.
But I'm looking forward to reading that article, but that particular article.
Definitely,
Yeah,
I will share it with you.
thank you very much. So
Most welcome.
apart from you told that how you approach fact checking, are there any more tips that you would like to share with budding journalists or budding writers how they should go about fact checking and researching
I
the
th-
topics?
I think the thing which is of foremost importance is your perspective, and you should fortify your perspective from every side. You should try to develop and uh, defend your perspective. And in the process of developing and defending your perspective, whatever fact checking you do and whatever research you do is important.
Now,
This is what I would recommend.
as we discuss about giving the providing the right materials to budding writers, budding journalists. So what are the books you would recommend that they should read, including, I mean, from the very beginning, the basic ones to the latest, those are in vogue, in trends right now?
I think the list of books that one should read is almost endless. I have myself discovered only the tip of the iceberg, but I would recommend people to read James Herriot's All Things Bright and Beautiful. It's a very important book when it comes to understanding narrative. And I would recommend a book that I was recently reading. It is called Walking with the Lions. It has been written by the IFS officer Natwar Singh. It's an amazing book. It should be read for a person, for how a person can relate his account of life. And I would also highly recommend Tamim Ansari's book called Destiny Disrupted, which is a very important historical account. And recently I was reading James Cameron's official biography, which is written by Mark Shapiro, which is also a very, very good biographical work. So these
James
are some of the
Cameron.
books I would recommend.
James Cameron is the director.
Yes, he's the filmmaker.
Avatar.
Yes.
Wow, thank you very much. I was curious to know more about him. And especially that we have the second installment of Avatar. So
Yes,
yeah.
he
Now,
James Cameron is an institution, and there's a lot you would love to know more about him. The more you would indulge in him, the more intrigued you will be.
thank you very much. The final question: what strategies or techniques do you employ to overcome writer's block, and how do you maintain consistency in your writing?
See, the most important thing that all writers should remember is that writing as a process has not been scientifically explained so far. It is a very mysterious process. Yet, an important thing that has been found out about writing is that writing happens only when it is happening. This means that writing happens while your pen is moving on paper or while your fingers are hitting the keyboard. As soon as you stop, the process of writing stops. So, if a writer is facing a writer's block, then she should shift her faith to this method and the writer's block will disappear. Because every writer out there is asked how they came up with this idea or that idea, and there has not been a right answer to this question. And the reason is that writers themselves don't know where their writing comes from. Many a times when I read my own work after a few months, I wonder where all the writing had come from. I am myself uncertain, and ideas tend to surface all on their own. No one can truly say how or why, but one has to keep writing so that writing happens. And there is no logical understanding of writing. Writers who write very well, even they do not try to attempt to make a logical understanding, because this will hamper the coming of the concepts and the ideas if they will try to logically understand. So nobody knows how writing happens. So what will matter in the end is the love of writing, the love of making your fingers hit the keyboard. This is what is important, and this is what will also bring consistency in your writing.
That's so true. I mean, yeah, that's so true. So before we end this interview, I would like to take our readers to through the last and the one of your best articles,
Yes,
35 Years of Come and See, the Russian film that rips apart the lies of war heroism. So please do
yes.
tell a little more about this article.
Come and See is a very, very important film because its importance lies in how the director, whose name is Elim Klimov, he never made a film before or after Come and See. For him, Come and See was the his final work. He did not want to make anything after this because he felt complete as a filmmaker after having made this film. And this is truly the only anti-war movie in a world full of movies that glorify war in the name of action. This movie was also the first movie to invent the Steadicam, and all filmmakers out there know how important the Steadicam is. I'm saying this to highlight the cultural importance of the film, and it is due to the cultural importance of the film and due to the easy availability of the film, which is available free of cost on YouTube, that I wrote this article, so that more and more people can see this work. And this work had the movie was made in a Russian era known as the Glasnost, an era when things were thawing, when tensions were coming down, when people were willing to bend and become flexible. It is a product of that era of Russian politics. So it is obviously a very, very important film, and it's out there on YouTube. I would recommend everybody to go and watch it.
Thank you so very much, Kirmani Sahab.
Thank you
It
so
was
much.
lovely talking to you, and I would request all the viewers who want to follow Kirmani Sahab. I have placed his Twitter account, his Twitter handle in the description, as well as his Linktree link, the Linktree account, and it has all his articles from the very recent to the older ones. So please do visit, and thank you very much, Kirmani Saab, for taking time out. And your
Thank you so much,
experience,
Saurav. It was wonderful speaking with you, and thank you so much for having me. Thanks a lot.
pleasure. The pleasure is all mine, and of course, the viewers who are going to watch this interview. Thank you so much.
Definitely. Thank you. Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye bye.